Hello everyone, this is Dave again. Today we'll look at a game from Black's side. This will be a Benoni Defense, the classical variation. The ECO code is A77. Our themes will be developing a plan, changing our plan as the game progresses, and taking advantage of the weaknesses of our opponent's dark squares. So let's get started. My opponent's playing white, I'm playing black. Plays D4, knight to F6, C4, C5. This is beginning the Benoni defense. I'm using a wing pawn to attack white's center. White advances his pawn D5. Play E6, again attacking white's center. Plays knight to C3, defending the pawn. I take, E takes D5, C takes D5, D6. I'm opening up this diagonal for my light squared bishop. I'm not worried about my dark squared bishop because I plan on shadowing it. White plays E4, expanding in the center, G6, knight to F3, bishop to G7, bishop to E2, black castles, white castles, rook to E8. This is pretty well the beginning position of the Benoni defense classical variation. One reason I like playing this is because Black has a built-in plan. He has 3 pawns, 2 pawns on the queen side. I hope to push these pawns forward, exchange them, and as a result of having one pawn left and hopefully passing it and queening it. Also note that Black's dark squared bishop also puts a lot of pressure on the queen side, so this could also help assist in making this pass pawn queen. So let's get back to the game. White plays knight to D2. In the Benoni defense, White a lot of times will have the idea of playing the knight to C4, bishop to F4, and then some 2 pieces putting pressure on White's D6 pawn. Many times if White can win this pawn, they will end up winning the game because as a result he will have a passed queen pawn, and this will be a very dangerous piece or pawn for Black to stop. So Black plays knight at B to D7, and White plays F3. Though this pawn advance protects the pawn chain of White's center and keeps a piece out of G4, it also leaves a lot of dark square weaknesses here on his king side around White's king. I played A6, preparing the advance of my B pawn. White plays knight to C4, continuing his plan against my D6 pawn. I play knight to E5. And here White exchanges, which kind of surprised me in a way, but anyway, he went ahead and made the exchange. I retook with my rook. He plays queen to E1. I play B5. Continuing my plan of playing on the queen side with my pawn majority. He plays bishop to F4, attacking my rook. I drop the rook back with the idea of I want to move this rook to the queen side and assist in advancing the pawns. In hindsight, I should have moved this rook back to E8, allowing my queen to having more scope on the dark squares, whether it be on the queen side or on the king side. So anyway, back to the game. A3, bishop to B7, bishop to G5. Black knight is being attacked by the white bishop. H6, and here Black's beginning to change his plans. He wants to exchange his bishop so that he will have more control of the dark squares in White's position, especially on the king side. White drops the bishop back. I continue my attack of the bishop. He plays bishop to F2, and now I'm playing knight to H5 with the idea of dropping this knight in on F4, exerting more pressure on White's king side. He plays bishop to E3, defending the F4 square, but I bring my knight in there anyway. Black's knight is captured. Bishop takes F4, G takes F4, and now White plays queen to D2. He should have played queen to H4 because there's been no way for me to defend the F pawn and the H6 pawn if I would have played this bishop to E5. Of course, then Black could have recaptured here. I just kind of one little variation. So there again, that's why I said earlier that black should have dropped the rook back to e8. But anyway, white did not play as queen to h4. He played it to queen to d2. And now I'm going to start taking advantage of these dark squared weaknesses on white's king side. I play bishop to d4. White plays king to h1 and bishop to e3. Look at how many squares this bishop controls on white's side of the board. He controls all these dark squares, and white's going to have a lot of problems because of this. He plays queen to e1. I bring my rook up to e5. I've decided to play on the king side because I've got such an advantage there, especially on the dark squares. I still have my 3-pawn to 2-pawn advantage on the queen side that I can use later on in case the attack doesn't quite pan out on the king side. He plays rook to d1. I play queen to g5, bringing another piece to the king side to further my advance of my attack. Plays bishop to d3, and now I play queen to h5 with the threat of a possible mate. If white should play something, let's say like rook to a1, I could continue with queen takes h2. He would be forced to retake. I'd play rook to h5, queen to h4, blocking the check, and there's mate. So I have a mate threat, so white must respond, and he does so by playing h3. His best defense would have been g4, and it would have continued f takes g3, queen takes g3, rook to g5, and queen to e1, and white still would have had a tough time defending his white king. If black would have gotten greedy, taken the d6 pawn, I would have continued with queen to h3, and I would have a mate in, I believe it's 4. So the only way that white can prevent this is to give up his queen, and eventually, of course, he will lose the game. So back to the game, h3. I play rook to g5. He plays queen to e2. I bring my rook up, stopping any chance of him advancing his g-pawn. And so as a result, white is running out of moves. He plays b3. I played bishop to c8, adding more pressure to the king side. He plays rook at f to e1, but he doesn't have much to do. And now I break open white's king side with a bishop takes h3, demolishing his pawn defense. And white plays queen to e3 out of desperation. I could have very easily taken the queen, but I seen the mate, so I played bishop takes g2 check. White's only move is king to g1. Bishop takes f3, discovered act with the rook. Plays king to f1. I play king to h1. White responds with queen to g1, blocking the check, but queen to g1 is mate. Hope everyone enjoyed the game. This game was played against a good friend of mine who taught me a lot about chess. I played him in many games before this, and this is the first time I really defeated him. He was rated approximately 700 points higher than me. And he said after the game, one of the reasons he lost was because he never played the board, he was playing the person. And you should always keep that in mind. You always play the board, because if you make the best move on the board, you should win. And if you think your opponent's going to eventually make a mistake, which in this case white did, luckily I found the right moves and I ended up winning the game. So that's just another little added tidbit there. So I hope everybody enjoyed, and take care and see you next time.